Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is the Wolf casting a game between well, I was just thinking about this, if it's ToJo, ToJo, or Toho, or Tuho. So, I'm going to stick with ToJo though, because I like that, versus Alexander, the red Zerg. On the map, Zelnaga Caverns, finally a name that's not extremely weird like Thornraven, or Project Fox. Yeah, this is a bronze versus bronze game, so you're gonna see a lot of mistakes. I'm sure. I've already watched this replay in like ×2 speed, but yeah, this person on Starcraft Arena forums I asked him to do a certain strat as I asked you to do, and he did it in this game kind of, and this isn't a good example of it, so I won't be using it as that game. But he did give it to me, and so I decided to cast it, and I'll be giving him and Alexander, even though I doubt Alexander will ever see this, I'll be giving them both pointers on how to get better. But I was thinking of something. This is actually probably more important here. When I was reading ToJo, it reminded me of the name of the guy Hojo in Shogun Total War. And if you ever played that game, you know that he's a real bitch. He'll always attack if you play as whatever it's called. I always call him Ugessi, but I think it's actually pronounced Wessi or something. Good job. A little late for a scout there. I think it's always best to scout with the 9 probe just to make sure there's no cheese going on, but there is no cheese. This is a super droning Zerg, droning on like I often do. Biggest mistake so far is Alexander's doing really well with keeping his drone alive for as long as possible. He actually could move it out because it's not doing as much right now and then come back in later, or try to hide it. Of course, with the probe following it, it's going to be hard to hide. Biggest mistakes are scouting with the 9 probe. Need to harass with the 9 probe as well, because it's good to make your opponent do something else. Right? I mean, right now, the probe saw, what is that? Like a 10 pool. The probe saw that 10 pool, and so, oh yeah, get that kill. Probe saw the 10 pool. He should know that there's nothing going on. He should be able to get a couple hits. There's a pylon going down there to deny an expansion, which is good. This Zerg is definitely going for an expansion or macro failing. I think it's like an 11 hatch. Alexander, on the off chance you see this, stick with 15, usually 14 pool, 15 hatch is pretty safe build economically, and there we go, little macro fail. But the other big failure here is against Zerg. It's a good idea to wall off, especially as Protoss. Pro players can get away with it, but for me, and I hope ToJo, we don't have the micro required to control the units as well, and so walling off will give you an advantage. He does have a forge going down. Now I remember watching this. He put down a photon cannon, which made me come a little bit, but not that much, because these Zerglings are going to take it out pretty easily. The Zerg went for early gas, which doesn't really make sense. Zerg's grabbing the first early 100 gas is very logical. I hope he canceled that. Grabbing that first 100 gas is really logical. Spending it on speed and then moving back to minerals for that expansion is very nice. But ToJo also did the same thing. Now he's just building up minerals. It's not bad, but he definitely needed to focus more on his macro up here rather than denying the expansion. He knows that 6 lings are on the way. Right now he's only got 2 zealots to defend and soon to be a cannon. And moving it up here, not good. Need to keep it here. I think maybe you need a probe 2. I know with the probe you could do it, but I think maybe 2 zealots, if they were positioned perfectly, could block this off. Zerg needs to just run in here. A little bit of fail there. Needs to run right in there. Cybernex is a bit late too, but the Zerg is not using his larva or minerals very efficiently. Let's make sure we... Now this is very lucky. Gets that zealot out in time. Make sure that if you got your zealots up here... Okay, they are on hold position. Good job. Yeah. Other players though, make sure you have your zealots in hold position. You don't want them running out and letting Zerglings flowing to your base. Trust me, it gives you... It's horrible to watch that. You're like, oh no. And there's the Overlord. Kind of a sacrifice Overlord. 6 minutes is kind of early for a sacrifice Overlord, but you'll be able to tell. A little bit of action here. Those 6 Zerglings need to be used more for scouting and slowing down a push rather than anything else. They can be used to contain, but since he could benefit more from moving... Oh, there goes the Overlord. You're going to pay for yourself, Mr. Cannon. Make sure not to have idle workers. These Zerglings could do better to have the 4 probably 1 weakest, like right here, 4 medium back here, and then 3 medium, and then 1 here, and there's already 1 here. So, okay, there's not, but you know what I mean. Get those watchtowers covered as a Zerg player. Cannon placement is kind of nice. It's definitely going to help him defend him from these Zerglings. He doesn't have anything to worry about. The Zerg player, I know, is not doing so hot in terms of macro. I mean, he's getting his expansion up. Transition into roaches, and apparently you only need 1 gas for roaches off of 2 bases for a little while. Be a good way to spend that extra gas because he has too much, or just get the drones off of it because he has so much of it right now. But let's see, how did he spend that minerals? He must have, yeah, he's morphing in lots of roaches. They don't warp, you stupid Zerg. Ah, Sentry, hello. Not too bad, not macro fail too bad. Interesting, going for a +1 weapons early is very powerful against Zerg. I like to do that against Terran and Zerg. As you saw in the 2v2, I like to go +1 charge live. Interesting cancel there. Decided to put it there. That's not bad. The pylon placement is pretty good. Being behind the buildings is helpful. It would be good to have a couple more just to make sure that nothing bad happens. There's only 2 powering most of these. Probably going to push out here. 4 zealots, 1 stalker, and 1 sentry could do a lot of damage if the Zerg isn't prepared for it. And he kind of is prepared. He's just playing, no offense bronze players, just kind of playing, making units, hoping for the best. Zerg player is doing a good job containing him though. That's not bad. The zealots need to definitely get on the watchtower to help them get the vision they need to be protected. Let's see. Needs to be using these workers better. He needs to drone. I as a Protoss player, can't tell you exactly when to drone, but this is a waste of minerals and gas here. Oh, hello. Just sneak right by. It was a waste of minerals and gas to get the evolution chamber. There's a lot of stuff going on the map. Ooh! I think the Zerglings missed that, just barely. He needed to drone up more. He needs to drone up really hardcore. I mean, if he spent... Hello, poor little zealots. In this situation, roaches are actually fairly slow off creep. Let's see if I can see one. Yeah, 225 compared to zealots. I think they're all the same, aren't they? Let's see if I'm right. Yes, I am. Be happy about my Protoss knowledge. They're the same speed off creep, so get your zealots back because they won't do any damage to roaches at all, especially because they'll just sit there and slowly regenerate back their HP. Destroying the rocks. Rockets. Rock. Needs to be on top of his creep tumors. Not bad. This isn't bad. Going for fast upgrades can be really powerful, especially Zerglings are we all know are really decimated by the +1 weapons. But the +1 armor is also very effective against them since there's so many little pinging attacks. Secret expansions. He did a good job. ToJo, whatever your name is. ToJo, you spent a good job spinning all those minerals that you had building up, because I know you had like 500 before all that stuff went down, or a little bit more probably. Instead of using it on these assimilators though, you should start warping in assimilators about 750 health here, about where that was, and they'll be done about the same time when you want them. I mean, right now it's just dead weight. 150 minerals wasted that the Zerg does see, then, you know, wasted minerals. Little engagement down here. Proxy pylon, not bad. That's what the problem is. Excuse me. He saw his opponent was making roaches, so ToJo, when you if you see a lot of roaches, you need to kind of go more stalker heavy. If you see a lot of lings, you need to go zealot heavy, because that's kind of how the early game armies fight each other. Zealots need to be in front of course, taking the damage in all engagements, but against roaches, even if it was pure roaches, you would need pure zealots, or not zealots. Pure roaches need pure stalkers to deal with them, with probably just a couple zealots in front to take the first barrage of attacks. This is what I was going to say though. Needed to put the pylon down first. That's the big thing. And now with the vision, this is good. Vision. These poor little these little probes. Oh no, probies! that did something good. If you had used hallucination and had like an observer here, which, not to say that a lot of people do this, then you could have just, you know, hallucinated them all and slowed down this push significantly. But that's something that it would be difficult to do that. I'm not saying you should ever try to do that. Just how many roaches is that? 8. 8 unupgraded roaches. See, that evolution chamber is not paying for itself at all. It won't be for a while. The droning, doing okay. Needs to drone harder though. At least use the army he's got here. Good stalker count. That's not bad. Actually, it seems like you knew what I've already told you. If he has a lot of roaches, get a lot of stalkers. Good job there. Doesn't have enough zerglings to deal with that. Needs to keep your army together, though. The Guardian Shield, reducing the damage from 16? Am I right? 16 to 14, although, you know, since it's such a heavy attack, it does help out, though. And since they only have 4 range, you can use force fields. If you're not Ice Fang, you can use force fields to help protect your army. But you probably aren't Ice Fang, so... Red is under supply. Good. Blue is on top of supply. That is also good for me, because I like Protoss. We are Protoss. Needs to put creep tumors down. Needs to transfuse this poor roach. Okay, here we go. Engagement, power. Needs to kite. Kite, fool! What? You can kite, can't you? Yeah, range 6. I thought so. I just couldn't remember. I knew they had range 4. Focus firing. If you're not going to kite, you need to at least focus fire in these medium-sized engagements right here. The stalkers are doing fine, especially because the roaches aren't moving in altogether, but now that they're able to start getting more shots up, they're going to start losing. If he had focus fired and or kited, then he would have been able to take out that roach army very easily and kind of contain the Zerg in a position you don't want to be in. Now that all the stalkers are dying, which is also something you don't want to do, try to keep... If your army is looking